Ron, if you would do the roll.
Sure. Rich Gussenberg.
Here.
Sarah Stevens Moreland.
Here.
Greg Rosenblatt.
Here.
Chris Staddy.
Here.
Megan Rockwell.
Here.
Dennis Ryu.
Here.
Chuck Neff.
Here.
Sean Kimball. Jeff Solon.
All right. Jeff Solon, I know, has a Board of Ed budget meeting tonight. So he informed me of that. Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public correspondence, do we have anything, Sarah?
I did not receive anything, even while I was not connected to my email.
Okay. Well, I didn't think you'd receive it while you weren't connected.
But I went back and checked. Nobody writes.
All right, and no one here from the public for comments. Approval of meeting minutes, January 16th, 2025. Do we have a motion? So moved. Dennis, second? Chuck? Any comments or discussion?
I have one. I don't know if it matters.
Yep.
But I'm listed as Mrs. throughout, and that's not accurate.
Well, then we should change that.
Okay.
All right, so wherever it says, would you like Ms. or?
Ms.,
Ms.,
yeah.
okay. If you would change, make a note about that. All right, anything else? Then move to approve the minutes as amended. All those in favor? It's unanimous.
Yeah, I have to abstain,
Oh,
because
one
I was
abstain,
gone.
okay. You are allowed to vote, even if you're not.
Even
That's okay.
okay, then I'll approve them if you want to keep it unanimous.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
that's all right.
Yeah, fine.
But that came up once before, because there was
Okay.
a concern that if a lot of people were missing, you couldn't get a majority vote. But I was told by the attorney, you can still vote, but it's up to you, it's your
Okay.
choice. Alrighty. Chairman's report, I have, nothing specific, other than a couple of quick comments. As I was mentioning just now, I did visit the Norton and North End sites yesterday. I sent you a couple of very short videos, and we'll hear more about what's going on at each site. But it looks like we are making some good headway, and I urge, people, when you have an opportunity, put those hard hats to use and get out there and take a look. There had been a conversation that we had last week, came up at the town council meeting about video cameras on the sites. And I wanted to first get a feel from ONG if there's any plans along those lines. And then second, a feel from the committee about whether it's something we want to entertain or not. Vince was pricing it out. I haven't seen any recent pricing. But, there seemed to be, just in the very quick conversation we had last meeting, some mixed feelings about doing cameras like that. So I wanted to first find out what plans, if any, ONG had along those lines.
Right now, we do not have any plans to have permanent cameras on site. We do take progress photos that they're probably done 2 or 3 times a week, that we'll make available to the committee to view those and have access to those. But we typically don't put, unless there's truly a security camera that we'll put out, on a job site. We
Have
typically
you done it in other places? Is it something that is common? Or?
usually if there's a security issue, we would do that, but not necessarily for the public viewing. We would not.
Okay. What are, as I said, I know there were a couple quick comments last time, but I'd be curious what people's thoughts are.
Typically we don't, because it stimulates more problems than resolves anything. We're always being told by our attorney, take pictures a foot away from what you're taking a picture of, or take a picture 300 feet away. Nothing in the middle distance.
Okay. Any other comments? Chuck?
I don't think we need them. I think there's enough pictures being taken with them on site every day. We can go out there whenever we want.
Well, I know if we wanted to do it, it's going to be in the thousands of dollars to have somebody come in and set that up.
I'd rather have a wood ceiling.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right, then if that's the consensus around the table, I'll tell Vin not to bother going forth. In fact, there was some conversation that we had with Rich Sitnick and Jeff about whether you would want one camera or two cameras and, that sort of thing. I think the town council people were, talking more about, wouldn't it be great if we had, time-lapse thing of showing the buildings going up or whatever.
But we
but
can still do
to-
that.
We could, and I don't
With
know if
the
we wanna spend
image.
thousands of dollars on cameras so that they can at the end have a time lapse.
Well, you're
Send
on
me
site
the-
every week. You're on site every week.
You gotta take it at the same exact
Yeah.
place and, yeah.
And then send it to me and I'll put it in Adobe Premiere and then at the end we'll just
We'll
export
just put it together and see what it goes like.
To that point,
Main.
we are talking about putting, an ONG camera out there to
Mhm.
do just what you're looking for, more of a marketing tool for us and,
Yep.
and really to provide you guys with a time-lapsed, montage of photos for the
Okay.
project,
A
so.
lot of times, when I talk to the town council, and, and Andrew's been a lot of those meetings, you may get a comment from a single member, and so I don't wanna, always make it sound like, the council is asking for X, Y, or Z. It may be a single member who had a comment or some interest, and they generally haven't pressed us if, I come back the next meeting and it's raised, and we say we talked about it, but.
I think, if I can add, I think the time lapse is what they're looking for actually, to be able to see like the sequential daily construction of the project versus being able to live watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exciting TV to go on and watch for 3 hours today, a bulldozer moving.
But daily
back.
from a vantage point could be really.
We could put it on Twitch and monetize it.
Oh, there you go, yeah, I'm sure.
Thing
All
is,
right.
though, like even the time lapse, I mean, it's really neat and it's cool when the building is done, and that's it. So
Yeah.
you're paying, how many thousands of dollars for us to say, that was cool,
Yeah.
and then you're done. I mean, where I've seen it be useful is on a project where there's an owner that is remote. So they wanna be able to dial in and see, they live in Nebraska or whatever, it's a big corporate. So for, that makes sense, and they have a reason they wanna see, they need to report back or whatever. That doesn't apply here. I
We
don't
can all
see that
pop
we-
over anytime.
Yeah, I don't see why we would want to invest any money in it.
Okay. Well, I will attempt, at least once a week to go over, take a look around, take some video, and send it out to you, so. But as I said, I urge everyone to go in, and the crews are fantastic to, they'll show you around, show you the schedule, whatever, just pop in and introduce yourself.
Do we need to special attire, glowy vests? or-
Bring your hard
we'll-
hat.
Yeah, we'll provide vests and hard hats if you don't have yours with you.
But what is
but we do
required
work-
if I do have, what do I need?
We do prefer, work boots, of some sort, and long pants, and
Yeah.
that's what
I wore my
we'll
hard
provide
hat
the
and my
vest
yellow
and-
vest.
yeah.
We need a reflective vest as well?
Yes, but we have them in the, we have them in the
Yep.
trailer though
Yeah.
for any visitors,
No,
so.
understood,
Yeah.
again, you have everything, I'm just
Yep.
curious what that inventory list is in case I also have everything and I don't have to
Okay.
bother people.
Safety
And there's
vests,
a lot of
hard hat.
equipment moving around
you
the
know,
site right now
yeah,
at
that's-
Norton, so, you just gotta be really, really careful. when you walk
Yeah, you do
around.
need to stop in the trailer and sign in, so our guys know that.
They didn't have
they're
me
up,
sign
so-
in anywhere,
No, okay.
no one ever asked me.
I know.
I stopped
That's
at
gonna
both
change.
trailers and.
The new super will.
Whoops. I don't wanna get anybody in trouble, they were very nice, and I did introduce myself,
Oh, you
but,
did, okay.
but they didn't ask me to sign in anything. So, all right, owner's rep, budget update.
So, not a lot of changes on the budget, we haven't encumbered anything new, and, the reason why is because we, Emily explained it to me, is that she does not put any encumbrances on there until she actually gets the purchase order. So, last meeting we encumbered, I mean, you voted to encumber the builder's risk policy. That's not showing up here. As far as encumbering the construction or the trade packages that were presented by O&G, those aren't going to get encumbered yet either. We're going to wait until we have the full GMP, and then we'll encumber everything at once. And part of that is that we don't want to be making these small incremental changes to the GMP. We want to make one full swoop change, as we did with phase one. And secondly, with what they're billing on a monthly basis, there's enough money in the purchase order that they currently have. So there's no urgency there.
As we're going through the bids, well, Laurel's been updating us where we are financially. How does that end up getting translated into
So
the
again,
document?
it doesn't, right? Because until there's a GMP that's presented and then it gets sent to Sean's office and a purchase order is generated, we don't make that update. But we're obviously tracking it, and we do know that, we're under the value that's in the budget.
Can you adjust Tecton's numbers?
I'm sorry?
Can you adjust Tecton's numbers? They don't match their invoice totals.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Yeah, if you don't mind. I mean, it's not a lot, but
Okay.
you're shorting them on one and giving them too much money on another.
Okay. We'll straighten that. We'll straighten that out.
We're right on the first one. Vote yay on that one.
Yeah, we obviously we made those revisions when we started this process a year and a half ago. I'll take a look at why it's not. It doesn't align, but we'll fix that.
Okay.
So once we have the GMP, this will get updated and show, it'll go into owner's contingency, the difference?
The difference will go under owner's contingency if that's what the building committee desires. We could leave it in that line item because we do have plenty of money in the owner's contingency. So we just won't. We'll have a budgeted amount, but we won't have it encumbered. So if there are change orders, we can use whatever is there to address change orders in the future, or we can move it down into the owner's contingency and then move it back up as change orders.
Is there any impact on the state reimbursements?
None.
Okay. So we could move as much as we wanted into contingency.
That's right.
Out of contingency, and it has nothing to do with the state at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If you
invoice
didn't move it,
approval? Yeah.
hang on, if you didn't move it you didn't move it into the contingency though, like your original budget and your current budget, you would never have the number that the GMP is, right? Or would it be like the actual numbers of the
You want to be able to see what's encumbered as
they
the
tell
actual
me at the end of
GMP.
the day it's 69,050 or whatever. That should be on here, right? Instead of the number that it originally was.
Well, we have two GMP, right? Because you have phase one, and now we're going to have phase two. So
We're not combining them.
I was gonna combine them.
we're
I'm just adding on to our contract.
Right. Yeah, that way we only have one.
Yeah,
number.
Well, what you're saying, you want the
There is only
budget
one
to
on
match.
So when we encumber it, the encumberment will be for the full amount of the GMP, which, as Laurel just said, is going to combine phases 1 and 2. So you will see the actual value of the contract, of O&G's contract for each project.
Well, the way I'm reading this on here, right? So that would show up in the encumbered column, that total.
Yes.
But the original budget and the current budget would actually be the new value. Is that what you're saying? Or would it still be
The original was what we started with. We made some changes to the Norton specifically because we needed to, obviously increase it. So those budget increases changed. Now we're finding that we're under budget, and I guess what the committee is asking is, when we do the encumbrance, are we going to zero out so that there's no more savings from the budget to the encumbered, and it goes down to the owner's contingency?
That would make sense.
That's your preference.
I think that'd be my
I mean,
preference
that's
because
the
it's more
truth.
transparent of where we actually are and where the money is. And
Yeah,
if we need
that's
it for
more
a
of an
change
accurate
order,
view.
we move it up.
Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah,
that.
that's more of an accurate where we are as of this date. We still have the original budget on here. We can see based on the expended encumbrance, everything else, what's left. And if it turns out we're, substantially under budget, we ought to be able to see where that money is.
And then you'll see that, I mean, we do track it in the owner's contingency that we have a log for.
Yeah.
So that'll get tracked there. So the money that moves from the construction budget line will go down into the owner's contingency, which I think is gonna be the first time since we set the budgets that we're actually putting money in owner's contingency.
Okay. And at the moment, our contingencies are looking excellent.
They're looking very robust.
Yes. Good. Invoice approvals?
We have 7. 4 for Norton, 3 for Norton.
All right, so the first one is testing services, TestCon Incorporated, $1,346 for Norton Elementary. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Chris? Any discussion on that one? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed?
Here, I'll move back.
Oh, I didn't, well, no, never mind. The second one, architectural services, Tecton Architects, $58,412 for Norton Elementary. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Chris, second?
I'll second.
Greg? Any discussion on that one? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? None? Unanimous. Third one, builder's risk. This is a policy that we approved last time, so this is the actual payment of the invoice for it. To Acrisure, New England Partners Insurance Service LLC for $87,532 for Norton Elementary School. Do we have a motion on that? Dennis, second?
Second.
Second, Chris? Any discussion on that one? Okay, all those in favor? Again, it's unanimous. And last for Norton Elementary, Owner's Rep Services, Arcadis, $2,051.37.
So moved.
So moved, second?
Second.
Sean? Okay, any discussion on that one? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous. All right, for North End Elementary, Architectural Services, Tecton Architects, $67,635.67.
So moved.
So moved, Chris, second?
Second.
Dennis? Any discussion on that one?
What's the consultant team coordination additional service? North End for 3,500.
Which ASI was it?
3,500.
ASI one so ASI one, I believe, was the, I wanna say was the turtles and the historic preservation and heritage, survey. So consultant team coordination, I believe, was the issuance of the reporting. I can get back to you on how that was identified in the AS number 1.
I'm just looking at it because there's like 4 visits. Is that something that's gonna be billed? Because that's already done, right?
It's already done. We typically bill, I believe most of that was the Benesia's time to go out there. And if they haven't billed for it, I can certainly ask them.
The visits have not been billed yet.
What has not been done?
The 4 visits that Chuck was asking for, they haven't been billed yet.
Did they make the 4 visits? So like, was it a unit thing or was it?
I think if this was for the turtles, then obviously they've already made their visit. Why they haven't?
I'll go back and review what the content of the ad services number 1. I don't know if that was a proposal to do some
quality control during construction to make sure that no turtles were being squished on site or anything like that. So, to my knowledge, I can't sit here and answer exactly whether that
I was
was.
just curious if
part
it
of
was
that work.
like it's 1,500 per visit, 4 visits, I made 1 visit, is
Yeah.
something to know.
Yep.
Okay, so you'll come back to us next time with a little more detail? Yep. Okay, anything else? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous. Builder's Risk, Acrisure New England Partners Insurance Service LLC, $112,272 for the North End School. Do I have a motion? So moved, Dennis, second, Sean? Any other discussion on that one? All those in favor? And unanimous. And Owens Rep Services, Arcadis, $3,696.71. Do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Chris, a second. Dennis, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And unanimous. Very good. Any change orders? No, it's not. And we'll move on to that. CM at Risk update, schedule. Phase 1 equipment status, phase 2 construction update, so.
Okay, to go with the update first on the
Yeah.
projects?
Well, you know, they all tie together, schedule and
right.
the update, so.
Okay. So, starting with North, we basically finished our tree clearing, operations around the existing house. We're kind of continuing with rough grading, throughout the site, mainly on the parking areas, the roadways going up, to, my streets mixed up. Marion Street.
Drive.
Yeah, Marion Drive. The well driller is on site. He's got, I think, a total of 4 wells drilled. 2 of them were the test wells, but 2 new wells drilled. We should be getting about one well a day from that crew. We are in the process of getting rebar deliveries. I think they're gonna be out there probably in the next 2 weeks. So we're gonna actually start foundations probably by mid in February.
February 17th, I was told
Yeah.
yesterday. He has these boards all laid out with all the schedules on there. He was very excited to show them the boards.
The guys right now are working with the building department on getting the building permit pulled. So I think it's gone through the building department, and I think the fire marshal is reviewing those drawings now. And, yeah, that's really about it. Really, the next big operation that you'll see out there is the foundation starting here, like I said, by mid-February, so.
Okay.
On Norton, again, as you kind of reported earlier, the majority of the tree clearing is done now, and the grubbing has been completed. Our trailers are on site. We are gonna be bringing out a generator shortly to get that powered up, to get our full staff out there, but our, superintendent's out there full-time. We are stripping topsoil, again, getting ready for our foundations. We can start a little bit later than north site. But we are just getting the perimeter controls put in place, temporary fences has been installed, erosion control has been installed. We are, again, basically the same spot with the building permit right now. The building department has reviewed it, it's in the fire marshal's hands, and I believe the police department is reviewing it as well. So we're in the process of getting
I was
that.
told yesterday we have a problem and that we have too much topsoil.
That's,
Twice as much
the
as
guys
what
are
we need.
reporting right now, so, we will be just having probably a discussion about bringing a test lab out just to confirm, the soil, that we can leave the site, just to make sure there's no environmental issues there.
And he said
But it's-
if it looked like it was good topsoil, he didn't know if the town had use for a lot of topsoil.
Might be able to take it, yeah, but we have to confirm if there's any issues for it leaving the site, right?
Yeah.
We can talk about it.
Yeah.
Can always use some topsoil.
7,000 yards.
Andrew has it.
More than one truckload, yes.
Yeah, we had to bring some in from Bartlett, so that would have been nice. Such as it goes.
How do we end up with too much topsoil?
Just the depths are deeper than what was anticipated. You know, we're only, you know, we take borings, I can't remember the number of borings we had done out there. But they might have not really identified the depth of the topsoil everywhere.
I know they tried to make it a balanced site, it's just, it's unfortunate because of the way that we have to build a new building first, we have no access to the front of the school. Where the school is gonna get demolished and all that work would be, you could probably spread some out there, but it just, the constraints of the site, it's too small to be able to store it and to re-spread it out front, so.
Yeah, and I asked if they needed any at the north end, but I was told
we
that
have-
they didn't need it over there, so.
Right.
We have a pile of extra, they keep moving it around.
Benesh designs a nice sledding hill.
Yeah, it's a beautiful hill for sledding.
I mean, if it was a balanced site though at the beginning, is it like being counted on to be there at the end and we're gonna have to bring topsoil in when you guys do the field and everything, or how's the site still balanced, I guess, if we're taking out 7,000 yards?
You probably need to bring structural fill.
We'll have to bring in
Taking
structural
out
fill for the new building.
topsoil. If it was balanced and there's too much topsoil, you're gonna have to make that up. Maybe.
Yeah, we still gotta do a little bit of a study on that as well. If we had any material coming off site originally planned.
Well, it was
Um,
supposed to be balanced, I just know that the whole phasing of it threw it off. They tried to keep it balanced throughout the entire design, Nash kept changing the grades to try to balance it. It's just the reality is, you don't have the front of the site available to you to try to lose soils.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking ahead of like a year and a half from now, if we need to bring in a bunch of topsoil, are we gonna have to pay for that topsoil when we had all this topsoil sitting there before, that's all? Like, do we need to stockpile the topsoil somewhere, or are you just getting rid of it and then we're gonna have to get more topsoil potentially at the end of the project?
We're gonna look into that, Chuck, so ideally you wanna keep at least enough to finish your project, right, and stockpile on site. Again, like Laurel said,
You guys have a
maybe
place.
it's just an issue if we have a place for it or not.
So next meeting,
North
you'll
end should have
update us.
Yeah.
some room to put some topsoil for a little while, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that property should have some room to stockpile some in the short term.
Yeah, but that's an expense too. to be
Right.
trucking it
It's all about the
around,
trucking
site
costs,
and
right,
packing
so
How many truckloads is it?
700 trucks.
700 truckloads.
7,000 divided by 10?
But if you're talking about a place to stockpile, we're not talking
Maybe.
gas mileage, whether you move it just across the property or you move it across town, it's not much difference, right? You still need the bulldozers, you still have the loaders, the trucks, so,
I can take 10 yards.
I mean, even if you're bringing it to the town, to give it to the town, you're still paying for it, right? So, if we keep it, it should be a net zero, or very close to that, versus giving it to the town, right?
Well, it's early in the process, so we'll get more information.
Yeah,
next
and-
meeting
yeah.
And find out
Yeah,
what.
and this is something we just came across, a few days ago, and we gotta do a little bit of studying here and
Yeah.
we'll present some options here.
I know a couple people in town were questioning about the fencing, because there was temporary fencing that was moved and now permanent fencing. They had this idea that the town is paying for double fencing, and that is not the case.
What did that mean? I've been asked that by two people. I don't understand. I don't even understand the question, I guess.
When
Because there was
they-
temporary, now there's the.
Yeah, when they first went in there, obviously you had all the trees, you had the playscape, you had all that stuff, so they put up temporary fencing around. And now that they've gone through and cleared, and a couple of times they moved the temporary fencing,
Right.
as they were doing. And now that they've cleared the area, they're taking the temporary fencing out and putting in permanent fencing to take the place that'll be there throughout the construction. And I know a couple of people in town were thinking, gee, the construction committee or whatever didn't plan well if we're paying for two sets of fencings. And it's all within the contract, and it was all planned out that way, and it really isn't an issue, so. But I know there were a couple of comments along those lines.
No official comments though, correct?
No official
And
comments.
no one's here to comment on that, right?
And no one's here to comment on
So
it.
maybe we, moving forward, we don't address random Facebook posts here in the meeting on the record.
Yeah,
Let people put something on the record as a question, and then we address it, so it
Yeah.
doesn't just a thought.
yep,
I would love for people to write me.
okay. Phase one equipment status,
Yeah, we actually got some responses back from Coloradoan on some of the pricing adjustments that were made between the phase one and phase two documents. So those are going back to the trade contractor to review, so we'll be responding back to those comments. So the gear itself has not fully been released yet until we can incorporate those parts and pieces in it, but
seems to be taking an awful long time.
it's not moving as quickly as we wanted to.
Now, I'm getting
But,
concerned that we're going to get backed up somewhere.
Yeah, I don't believe it's affecting the schedule right now, but it's something that we need to watch.
Okay. Phase two bids?
Okay, it's a quickie tonight. Before we keep on, sorry.
And just real quick, the report I gave tonight is gonna be really supplemented with our monthly report. That'll probably be coming out, for next meeting. And that will be a full financial, kind of what Laurel's handing out now, but in giving you an understanding of
It's the same
the
thing.
construction,
So I was confused.
He was just cutting.
the construction, status of what our full GMP would be.
That way,
That's all she got.
Yeah.
Did you get this one?
just one.
Everybody ready? I only have one.
Fred, could you bring that back to Andrew? Greg?
So, just to give you a snapshot of where we are, if you go back to your meeting minutes, because you guys are tracking me. North End, you were saying last time we were about 5.8 million under. I think that's what was in the minutes. You can see here on North End, we're about 5.6. So there's just one adjustment to one of the trade contractors, but it's not formal yet. This is just a snapshot of where we think things are headed. So for North End, this is the one bid that I have for tonight. It's Miss Metals. It's kind of critical to get Norton as well. It's just that Norton, I'm not done with. We have a low bidder that we just scoped yesterday, and it's still hot off the press. So we're not ready to present on Norton, even though it is critical. These railings are a very long lead item. The railings that are going to be in your schools, they're basically, I think it was 14 weeks, something like that, after approved shop drawing. So it's like months. It's like 4 months after shop drawings are done. So it's something that we want to present quickly. So North End would be tonight, and then maybe the next meeting will do Norton, and that's it. No more after that. It's just going to be the GMP after that. So for North End, we're now about 5.6 under. And I have the one miscellaneous metals contractor, and you flip over and you'll see Norton has come down some more. And the reason for that is, switching out, and that's basically what happened with North End, is switching out to our second roofer. So right now, it looks like we're going to the second roofing contractors for both bid packages, for both projects. And that's what's causing the difference in the bottom line there.
Hey, Laura,
Yes.
just curious, for the most part, it looks like the estimated amount and the base bid amount are tracking
Yeah.
ballpark, except for this one, it's
Which one?
double, the steel check.
Yeah, and I
happened there?
I think it's those railings, because the railings they're a prefabricated railing system that I don't believe our original estimate captured. Maybe it was, because this kind of reflects, this estimate reflects if somebody were able to shop fabricate their own railings, and that's not what's in the spec. So I'm sure our estimators just didn't interpret it correctly way back when. Because it's been, I think both of them are the same, right? They're about double. Yeah, double. And it really has to do with these railings.
Is that where the two others were their bid?
In the case of North End, yes, in the case of North End, when we first, I have only 5 copies of the bid results with me, but in North End, yes, they misunderstood that we needed these prefabricated railings. So North End's bids came in December 3rd. So we had 3 bidders, the two low bidders were 508,000, 630,000 respectively, which is in line with our estimate. And the third bidder was 1.2 million, and they're the ones that captured the correct scope. And we called everybody, we said, hey, make sure you got the correct bid, the correct railings for the Norton bid. So when the Norton bids came in, we only had 2 bidders, the one of the ones that withdrew from the first one, and their bid is now $1,034,000 for Norton, so they realized that they needed these prefabricated railings, and Steel Tech is our second bidder. So Steel Tech is the low bidder at North End, and they're the second bidder at Norton. And there's just some questions about your low bidder for next generation construction that we need to keep vetting.
Fire stopping is off by a factor of 3 as well.
And that was just because I changed the scope after our estimate was done. I gave them all head of wall ceiling. So there's pluses and minuses as we go through. I mean, the true bid results are what tells you what the value of the work is.
So you're looking for a motion at this point to approve Steel Tech Building Products for miscellaneous metals
Yep, it's the only one we
for
have.
$1,245,000
Yep.
for the North End School.
Yep.
Do we have such a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Who was that?
Sean.
Sean, a second? Greg, discussion on this?
They're gonna be able to handle
Steel Tech?
all 3.
Well, Steel Tech has their structural steel at Norton, their Miss Metals at North End,
in this.
and they may be Miss Metals at Norton. Will they be able to handle all 3?
Well, they're not being done at the same time, so the structural steel and the missed metals are done, you know,
Right, but the 2 Miss Metals.
months apart, but the two, right.
I think so.
Maybe.
That's why it's like one or the other. So we're not ready to go there yet. I'm not ready to make a recommendation there. Weighing everything.
So in their bid, when you review it with them, you're able to see that they had the custom fabricated railings ahead of time, or is it something you talked about?
No, it's not something we discover at scope review. After bid, it's always, what did you carry? Did you carry what you were supposed to carry? And that's why it was a mad scramble after the North End came in, to make sure everybody knew at Norton, you gotta make sure you're pricing this stuff.
So at Norton, all of them have that,
All 2, yeah.
all 2 of them?
Anything else on this?
What are the 2 at Norton? Is it Steel Tech and you said,
It's called Next Generation
It's the same
Construction
company.
LLC.
what's
It's
your bid at,
At Norton, they're $1,034,000. At Norton. Why do I just have North End? Where's all my Norton stuff? Norton is Next Generation Construction, $1,034,960, and Steel Tech is $1,185,000, so it's about $150,000 difference. So he's $1,034,000, and this is Next Generation. Last time he was $630,000 at North End.
so if you were to bid on this, we would have expected, if you had the right scope, we would have expected something in the same range.
Yeah, he should have been up around $1 million.
Anything else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous.
So just where we're at.
So this is the only one you're bringing us
The only
tonight?
one we're bringing up, yeah. I might have Norton in the 2 weeks, but otherwise I'm gonna shift gears and finish my, thank you. I gotta finish our scopes, we're down to 9, so I'm coming down next week, between tomorrow, we have 4 tomorrow, and then next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I'm getting through all these scope reviews, and then, in the meantime, writing some contracts of people that we need on site, and then I'm shifting gears and GMP,
So there will be a need though for the meeting, The first
week
meeting
of
in February.
Yes, I'm gonna
Okay.
try to get the Norton GMP done by then, and I hope to have a Norton Miss Metals bidder for you.
Because just as a reminder, when we did the schedule, we said, starting in February, the first meeting of each month, we would check ahead of time to see whether it was needed. So we will need that meeting, so please plan on.
And I'll try to get the GMP out as much as ahead of the meeting as possible, so you have time to look at it, but I can also walk you through it at the meeting, and then you can digest it. I won't be saying you gotta vote on it that Thursday. You can take the 2 weeks. I do wanna get it done before the end of February though, because our bids are gonna expire.
We still have some bids to approve.
North End, the only thing that's gonna be left is whoever, it's just gonna be the GMP. I'm just gonna give you the GMP, cause you gave me everything I need for North End. Norton, I'm gonna probably do Miss Metals, at the next meeting, so that's done. You follow me or no?
No, because like roofing, we didn't vote on it.
You did it, it's just gonna be the GMP, so when
Okay.
you approve the GMP, you're in effect approving the bidders. But if.
So it's gonna be a package.
It's gonna be one package that's got it's gonna have this in it, and you're gonna see the bid results, and then you're gonna see, some qualifications. And in the case of the roofing, this is not your low bidder, so I have to give you I have to put it in writing with why we wouldn't be recommending the low bidder, cause you need it for the state audit, and then you guys are gonna need to reject. I think you still need to
As we
reject
did last time.
the low bid, yeah.
We did that last time.
But in the GMP, I'll carry the second bidder.
Okay. Why is it being done as a package instead of individual bids like
It's
we've
just
been doing?
because to just get it done, you can, like, once it's in the GMP, we're done, I don't need you to sign letters anymore, the GMP covers it.
Mhm.
So we don't need to keep doing that.
Yeah, we just need the letters because they're early release.
Right, they're before the GMP is done. So everybody else will be in here, and there's not much left, because you guys approved probably half of them, so there's only the other half.
I'm hearing two different things then. You're saying we have to have this meeting in first week of February, because we have stuff to vote on, but.
Second week, right?
Second week of February.
Yeah.
It's the first meeting of
First
February.
meeting in February.
It's the second week, yeah.
But we're only gonna be given the GMP to look at, like, day before maybe, 2 days before.
Yeah, it's
And we
gonna
don't
be
need to vote
tight.
on it that night.
Well, you could if you wanted to, I don't know if you'll be able to, or unless you guys wanna push it to the following week just to give us more time, I don't know how you wanna do it, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to have a couple of times to talk about it before I'm forcing a vote on you. 'Cause I don't wanna be in that position, say,
I think
hey,
it
we
makes sense
need
to
it.
have it, not vote on something right away that we're just seeing, that's,
Well, yeah, can you present it at the next meeting and we vote on it, the meeting after that?
That's what I was thinking,
Could it be sent around in advance of the time of the first meeting, then you don't have to have
well,
one?
that's where it's gonna be tight, so I just gotta make sure I get it done. And it'll be easier for Norton, cause you'll have seen North End, so it's gonna be very similar for Norton.
Silly question. If you're gonna have it ready for that Tuesday meeting, how about you just email it to all of us and we don't come to a meeting and then we review it for 2 weeks? I mean, is that what am I missing the point here? If we're
you
not
got
gonna
my
vote,
point, I guess.
I mean, what, you know,
I mean, it's what I feared of, well, we'll have 2 meetings, well, we gotta have a meeting, do we need to have the meeting? No,
Only if
probably
you
not.
want me to present it and walk you through everything, and you can ask me questions, and then we have plenty of time to address it or fix it or anything else. So you do it in the 2 weeks, and then we have 2 weeks later, you can vote on it. If you don't wanna meet the first meeting, now you're gonna, now we're gonna be in a pickle, where my bids are gonna expire if we don't take action.
Well, we're not really in a pickle though, right? You're giving us the GMP, we have 2 weeks to review it.
Yeah,
We
as
can
long
make
as you
comments.
yeah,
Hang on,
oh, sorry.
we can make comments in that 2 weeks, and then we come to the meeting with those resolved, right? I mean,
we could send Rich some emails, and he's the point of contact, he could filter it to you.
we'll get that.
The only thing we'd be missing is the presentation of the GMP, as in the explanation of the spreadsheet.
Can we do that virtually? Can there be a virtual
We could do a Zoom
meeting and just walk you through it so that you see it and you have it?
What's the presentation of the GMP, cause we've voted on however many there's, say there's 25 of them, we voted on 20 of them at this point, right? So was it you just telling us that we voted on these and this is the person we awarded the low bid to?
It's
What's the
there-
presentation
There's
system?
more of like, there'll be cost summary sheets, so I'll explain that. There's gonna be some CM allowances, so I'm gonna explain that. These are things that we discovered, any holes that we discovered during our scope reviews, so I'll have that. And then we have what we call qualifications, clarifications, exclusions, and that's probably like 4 pages of text. This is what's in, this is what's out, you know, and so that's what you're probably gonna have the questions on. There's about 4 pages of text, so.
I always feel that I learn a lot more by sitting at the table and hearing what's going on and getting the back and forth rather than just reviewing paper at home. I think, you know, once we got through February, we've pretty much approved everything. If we really, you know, we're looking to try to cut back meetings, I think starting in March, that would be a whole lot easier. But that's up to the committee in the end.
I think I would like at least of the opportunity of a virtual meeting because I am not as familiar with these documents, just in general, and so it would be helpful to be able to ask questions, because I think I'll have some.
Personally, I'm not opposed either way. I mean, I'll come to the meeting, I wanna come to the meeting and find out, and glad you're here, but there's really wasn't a whole lot of reason to be here, that's all. As long as it's meaningful, I'm fine with it.
Dennis?
I'm okay either way, I just like the explanation. But if it's virtual, I'm okay with that.
Sean?
Yeah, I mean, my personal busiest time is starting late February, March, just because the budget's starting, so it's, I'm just gonna be less available in March and April, but, it looks like I could make both in February still, so.
Yeah, as I
I
said,
like
I think
virtual.
come March, it will be much easier to
I just know, I mean,
not
Jeff's
have
going
that
through,
first meeting.
Jeff
but-
Solon's going through the same thing, obviously, right now, he hasn't been able to attend in a while, just so
Well,
it's gonna be
yeah,
similar.
January, we changed our dates based on Laurel's needs, and so
Yeah.
we're bumping into his Board of Ed meetings. I think come February, we'll get back off on the schedule. Greg?
I'm fine either way, but I think in person probably add more to it. So I'd be good with 2 meetings in February.
Chuck?
If we need a meeting to go over this stuff, I'm fine with having a meeting, but I personally don't need a meeting to have something explained that then I have 2 weeks to review that we then vote on. I don't think that's beneficial, but if I wanna have like a virtual meeting to have her present the GMP is, that's fine. I see
Well,
GMP.
I mean, we could have the meeting, have the discussion, and have the vote.
You could.
Yeah, if there aren't any serious concerns of any sort. Well, your concern is if we wait until the end of February and issues crop up, then you're bumping up against your bids.
Right. People
Bid
can say,
deadlines.
oh, my bid expired.
Yeah,
I'm trying to avoid.
so, I mean, I would love to hold a regular meeting, it'll be, I don't know how long it would be, but, and see if we could approve the GMP at that meeting. And, you know, we'll try to keep it as short as we can, but get in, get out, but at least we have the opportunity to go through it all, talk about it. If there's any issues or questions, you know, it can get pushed off to the next meeting, but if not, we can get it done at that time.
Rich? Is it possible, if that's the reason for the meeting, that's the sole agenda item on the meeting?
That would be pretty much all, because we've now pushed all the invoices and things like that are automatically at the end. So there really wouldn't be much of anything else on the agenda.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, that's helpful, and also I can
send our newly minted assistant town manager to attend. He can't vote in my place, but we talk all the time and can keep me updated. So if I can't attend one, unless it's a quorum issue needed for a vote, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, Vince has done that with Jeff the
Right.
same way.
That's the idea.
So now are we saying that we're going to have it presented, we're gonna get the thing a day before, have it presented, and then just vote on it that night?
Only if we felt we were comfortable doing that. We don't have to. I mean, if Laurel presented the whole thing, everyone felt comfortable, we could take the vote. If not, we go to the next meeting.
And ideally, I'd have Norton for that next meeting, or this way you won't have to have the first meeting in March. But ideally, I'd have Norton for the second meeting.
Yeah, so you would have all of the GMP to be done, there'll be no further bids, so come the first meeting of March, it's unlikely that we're gonna have anything,
Right.
that we absolutely
Unless
have to
Norton
meet for.
carries over.
When do the Norton bids expire?
They're December 18th, so about 3 months from there, so right in the middle of March.
So we have to act on that first meeting of March, or your bids
Or
expire.
if we can get it the end of March, end of February,
Yeah,
2 weeks.
but that one you'd be presenting the end of February, and we'd be voting on it at that meeting possibly, although it's probably gonna be very similar to the north
It'll
end.
be a lot similar, and
So
you'll be
the-
used to it by then, you'll see the format.
Yeah, so we may not feel that we have to
Meet in
hold
March.
it over and go through
But
it.
that means it's a big meeting, the end of February.
Well, the second meeting of the month, we expect to be a big meeting. That's when we do all the invoices and the budget and everything else, that's how we set it up. So the only question is, do we hold the first meeting in a month, or do we not? And as chairman, I'm hearing that most people feel that's fine. I would like to go ahead and have the meeting, the first, meeting of February. Go ahead and do that, and then come March, I think we'd be in a position where, we very likely will not need to have that first meeting. Is that all right with everyone?
That's fine.
Done.
I would only ask if we limit the agenda, so we're not going over all the other minutia and stuff, since we're coming here.
Yeah, well,
I mean, the Tecton stuff is extremely,
we're coming up to, Tecton's report
trying to
right
save you
now.
a trip.
That's
Yeah,
much
Well,
appreciated.
Tecton needs to be here.
and Justin lives in Rhode Island, you know.
I do know,
Yeah.
that's why I was.
Well, it's only Rhode Island races.
He said it's only like a 20-minute drive too. I keep going
20
over.
minutes from Rhode Island, I don't know. All right, anything else from ONG? You all set? Okay. And on that happy note,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Fairly modest update, as I mentioned in my email, because we've primarily been participating in the scope review process. Those meetings are listed under item number 3 in the update. So just a couple of things real quickly. We're still coordinating the geothermal systems presentation for the elementary school's earth science curriculum. It was mentioned at the last meeting that, well, if you're doing it for Norton, why don't you do it for the other schools, the other 6th grades? We brought that back to Jeff and his team, and to date, nothing has been scheduled. We're just, Colarona and ourselves are just compiling a slide deck, anticipating a conversation with the kids. We've also initiated building information modeling coordination meetings with the team, so this is part of the coordination that happens with the trades at the beginning of the beginning of construction. So all of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection, communication, security folks, although security and communications we're still vetting through, but the major trades, MEP, FP, that the committee has voted to award. This week we started meetings between the design team, ONG's BIM team, and the trades. in order to start. Now, these are weekly meetings that we'll be going through. They're utilizing our model, they're overlaying their systems in order to vet out conformed coordinate or shop drawings for the project. So it's this process that's proved beneficial on, I think, all of our projects with ONG, that allows all of the trades to be around the table talking about any potential coordination items with the design team. So this process will last all the way up to shop drawing submittal and approval, and it's probably going to be a couple months at minimum that we'll be holding these meetings. We've also submitted as part of this report a bulletin that I'll share the cover sheet to it. This is basically the contractual vehicle that we use to respond to RFIs or owner requests or any type of item that comes up in the field. I think I've mentioned this in past meetings. The three mechanisms to enter changes into a contract are: one, supplemental instructions, architect supplemental instructions. I'm probably going to put Dennis to sleep with this because he lives this every day. Proposal requests, which are basically directions to the contractor and subcontractors to make a change, or not to make a change, to provide a cost proposal for a change, and that precipitates potential change order. And then finally, a construction change directive. These are relatively rare in our experience, but sometimes something may come up in the field where immediate action in order to provide a contractual mechanism to address a site issue comes up, where we would seek approval to issue a CCD, or a construction change directive. The first two items are the more conventional ways that we address these items. The CCDs usually, as I mentioned, respond to something urgent in the field.
More time sensitive.
So what we have provided was, for North End, was what's called an ASI. So this is bulletin number 3. The first two bulletins, I'll just reference, were for the phase 1 work. For both North End and Norton, our bulletin number 1 was a proposal request to provide additional surge protection at the request of the NJSBC. You guys voted on that proposal at a previous meeting. The second bulletin was to encumber electrical revisions to align with the final phase 2 documents. So as we have discussed in past committee meetings, we submitted early procurement items that involved electrical switchgear and electrical items. The documents changed between that and the phase 2 documents that we needed to reconcile some modest revisions to those electrical submittals. And understanding that, ONG had provided an allowance in the phase 1 to encumber any type of revisions that would be resultant in those revisions. So those were the two bulletins that we issued. This bulletin number 3 for the North End Elementary School is a supplemental instruction that responded to a request to just clarify some dimensions along the perimeter wall where we had not provided, or there was missing information that needed some clarification. So anytime there's a dimensional request, those are typically supplemental instructions. We reissue the drawing sheets as part of a bulletin. So by incorporation of the ASI, these documents become part of the record, and we go from there. In terms of the work that we have upcoming, I mentioned the coordination of the presentation for the 6th grade science classes, and we're also working with Jeff and Vin and their teams to put together the FF&E and IT design and documentation schedule. This conventionally, on the path that we're in, traditionally starts over the summer. We want to make sure that we're fully procured by this time next year, so we can account for any lead times for FF&E and IT. Typically, we want to make sure that there's a 16 to 20 week buffer between ordering the material and when we want it to be delivered. just in recognition of everybody's summer schedules, we're probably gonna slide that back a little bit so that we can catch teachers, administrators before everybody breaks for summer. Sometimes it's an exercise in herding cats to get people to a summer meeting, as everybody knows. So that's kind of our next steps, other than continued participation in the scope reviews. I think we have just a couple weeks left, or
Just next week.
just next
Tomorrow-
week left.
Tomorrow we got 4, and then next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Those Friday afternoon
stuff.
scope review meetings are awesome. Any questions?
Hey, you volunteered.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you, Justin. Any other issues?
Just a very brief update, which you may have updated at the last meeting, which I missed because we had a public hearing upstairs on the naming of the North End School, so you probably gave a report maybe at the
No,
last
we
one.
haven't had any
You
discussion.
didn't have any?
about that
Okay,
yet, no.
just very briefly, that was, again, simultaneous with our meeting 2 weeks ago. The council has not made any final decisions yet. We did have a public hearing, again, 2 Thursdays ago. I would say certainly the majority of the folks that have come out to submit names were in favor of Medal of Honor recipient Barney Barnum as the individual for the North End School to be named for. However, the council also received another 7 or 8 additional names to be considered, and they're taking those under advisement. And they do plan to designate a name, though, before, I think, kind of a May or June timeframe, so sometime this spring. Possibly the next couple of months, we'll find out, but that will be, hopefully at that point, able to not have to say North End and New Norton and confuse ourselves.
Yeah, you couldn't come up with a more confused.
Right, I'm ready to take anything at this point. Just can't start with an N and rhyme with a Norton.
You cannot start with an NORT.
NORT,
Well,
yeah, exactly.
And then it
So-
gets cut off on your email or whatever. It's like,
Right.
what school is that for? I don't know.
Exactly. So I'll update the committee once there's, a scheduled meeting and maybe a proposal, so.
Good, thank you very much. They had a good turnout for that?
They did. It was a very good turnout. Yeah, and we've had a few names submitted electronically, and some that were kind of related to the use of the land there originally. A family that had lived actually in the house, another that had farmed or had a farming connection there, and then another that had a farming connection in town. So there was some good proposals, but certainly the veterans, the firefighters, and others are kind of rallying behind one name, and I think that's a front runner for a
And
variety
I
of
felt all
reasons.
along that we have enough on our plate without
I'll let you know when it has a
wading
name.
in on
Yeah,
that
exactly.
conversation.
It's probably wise all around.
But if any of you individual citizens want to put in your 2 cents, feel free.
Yeah, so we-
But
there you
as
go.
a committee, no, I didn't want to go there. Okay, anything else? All right, then I'll take a motion to adjourn. So moved, second. All those, second was Dennis. And Chris. All those in favor?
Maybe 450 trucks.
Thank you.